Chosen one, this is the moment God tells you everything. The moment has arrived. The moment that was always written into your story. Chosen one, this is not an ordinary. This is the page in your destiny where silence breaks. The confusion, the waiting, the whispers in the dark, they've all led you here, right now. This is the moment God speaks. Not through signs you can barely decode. So stay with me, chosen soul. Just listen. Open your heart. Before we dive, stay until the very end. Write your warmest wishes in the comments with 99 to confirm your soul's readiness and 777 to activate divine alignment. Subscribe to this powerful journey, manifest wishes, and energetically align you with the universe's highest flow. You've been asking questions that no one could answer. You've felt something stirring inside you that no one around you could understand. You've seen glimpses of something bigger, visions, signs, synchronicities, and yet you still wondered if it was all in your head. But now, you're going to feel it in your spirit. This is not imagination. This is illumination. God doesn't always speak in words. Sometimes he speaks in patterns, in storms, in silence, in strange timing. But today, God is speaking in clarity. He's showing you the thread that runs through all the chaos, the why behind the waiting, the purpose behind the pain. And the truth is simple but profound. You were never being punished. You were being positioned. Every delay in your life wasn't rejection. It was divine preparation. You weren't being ignored. You were being hidden for the right unveiling. You weren't forgotten. You were being set apart. The confusion was part of the calibration. And now, the clarity is being released. Here's what God wants you to understand. You were never meant to fit in. You were never meant to follow the crowd. You were never meant to play small. That discomfort you've been feeling for years, the sense that there's more, the inner resistance to living a normal life, that was never a flaw. That was the divine call embedded in your DNA. You see, chosen one, the reason life felt harder for you than others wasn't because you're weak. It's because you're marked. Marked to lead, marked to rise, marked to awaken others. And in order to do that, you had to go through experiences that would shape you, sharpen you, and deepen you in ways comfort never could. You had to lose people to find your power. You had to be misunderstood to find your voice. You had to walk alone so you could learn how to walk with God. God tells you now, nothing was wasted. Every tear, every betrayal, every dark night, they are now becoming the building blocks of something divine. You are not who you were. You've been transformed by fire, and now your spirit carries weight. Not the kind the world recognizes, but the kind heaven trusts. And here's another truth that will unlock everything. Your isolation was your initiation. The rejection wasn't to destroy you, it was to strip everything not meant to go with you. You were never meant to be accepted by people who couldn't see your light. They weren't blind. Your light was just never for them. This is the moment you stop questioning your intuition. This is the moment you stop apologizing for your spiritual depth. This is the moment you realize that the very things that made you different were always divine indicators of your calling. The dreams you have, they're not random. The ideas that keep you up at night, they're divine downloads. The desire to break cycles in your bloodline, that's God moving through you. You don't need to keep waiting for someone to give you permission. God already did. This is not the time to shrink. This is the time to rise. This is not the time to overthink. This is the time to move. This is not the time to play it safe. This is the time to walk into the unknown. because that's where your miracle lives. Chosen one, God is saying, I placed something inside you that this world has never seen. And now it's time for it to come out. The reason you feel like you don't belong anywhere is because you were created to build something that doesn't exist yet. The reason people tried to dim your light is because they saw something they couldn't understand, something that made them uncomfortable because it awakened something they weren't ready to face. But you're ready now. You've been broken, but not destroyed. You've been silenced, but not erased. You've been delayed, but never denied. And now the divine truth is settling in your bones. You are chosen. And not just chosen to exist, chosen to shift things, to alter atmospheres, to birth movements, to change lives, to break generational chains, to usher in something sacred. This is the part where God stops whispering and starts roaring. This is the part where the pain turns into purpose. This is the part where your clarity becomes contagious. You've outgrown the places you used to fit. You've outlived the version of yourself that played small. You're not here to survive anymore. You're here to awaken the world. That ache you've been feeling, that urgency, that sense that time is running out for you to step into something greater, that's not fear. That's divine timing, pulling you forward. God says, you're not behind, you're right on schedule. The reason it hasn't happened yet is because what you're carrying is too big to be rushed. Divine things take divine timing. You had to be strengthened, purified, emptied, not because you were weak, but because your calling is strong. So now, God is telling you everything. He's showing you that the delays had detail, that the silence was sacred, that the wilderness was a workshop, that the wounds were openings, that the confusion was camouflage until now. And now, it's time. Time to trust your knowing. Time to step into your divine identity. Time to speak like you've already received. Time to move like heaven has your back, because it does. Don't wait for the right moment. This is the right moment. Don't ask for more signs. You are the sign. Don't look outside yourself. Everything is already within. This is your unveiling season. This is your activation hour. The earth has been waiting for you to remember who you are. You're not late. You're chosen. You're not broken. You're being built. You're not crazy. You're being called. You've waited for confirmation, but what you really needed was conviction. And now that God has pulled back the curtain, you don't need anyone else to co-sign your calling. It's already signed, sealed, and whispered by the divine. What you're stepping into now isn't about getting approval. It's about owning your alignment. You don't need louder voices around you. You need a deeper voice within you. That voice, the one that has always said, "There's more for you," was never lying. It was the echo of your higher self calling you home. Back to the place where you no longer perform, where you no longer shrink, where you no longer apologize for the way you carry spiritual weight in a world obsessed with shallow surfaces. You've seen too much to go back to playing small. You've grown too much to keep pretending you're okay being unseen. And now, God is not just revealing your purpose, He's also revealing why it took so long. Because your soul needed to be protected. Because premature exposure would have cost you your peace. Because if people had seen your light too soon, they would have tried to shape it to serve their own agendas. But not anymore. You're not someone who chases validation. You're someone who anchors revelation. You stabilize the atmosphere just by walking into it. You shift energy simply by standing in alignment. People feel something change when you enter a room, not because you're loud, but because you're real. And that's rare. You're not here to fit a mold. You're here to melt it. You're not here to echo what everyone else says. You're here to deliver what heaven says. And right now, heaven is saying this: the wait was worth it. The pain was precise. And the power being released over your life is not random. It's relational. You didn't earn it by works. You aligned with it through endurance. There were moments you wanted to quit. Moments where you screamed in silence because nothing made sense. But you stayed faithful, even when it didn't feel fruitful. And now, that faith is turning into fire. And the fire is turning into forward motion. God is not explaining everything to you to make you feel good. He's doing it to make you ready. This is a divine briefing, a sacred download. You've entered the realm where strategy replaces struggle, where alignment overtakes anxiety, where you don't beg for doors, you build rooms. You will not be shaken anymore. You're rooted now. You will not be confused anymore. You're clear now. You will not be waiting for someone to tell you who you are, because you know now. And this knowing, this deep, soul-anchored awareness is going to scare some people. That's okay. Don't dim it to comfort them. Your boldness isn't arrogance, it's obedience. You've been quiet long enough. You've been polite long enough. You've carried others long enough. Now it's time to carry the crown that was always yours. Yes, there will be pressure. Yes, there will be moments where your old self wants to crawl back into comfort. But remember this: the pain of growth is always less than the pain of regret. And chosen one, you didn't survive everything you did just to live in fear of your own expansion. You are meant to rise. You are meant to lead. You are meant to carry divine clarity, not just for yourself, but for others who are watching you, silently praying, "Please be real. Please show me it's possible." And you will, not by performing, but seeing, but by being, by walking in authenticity, by loving without agenda, by speaking with conviction, by moving with purpose. Your very existence is a prophetic sign to someone else that destiny is real. So stop underestimating your presence. Stop downplaying your process. Stop postponing your power. There's a world that needs exactly who you are, not a diluted version, not a sanitized version, not a quieter version. You, raw, real, radiant. God is telling you everything now because you're finally in a space to receive it. And what you do with that truth will determine what unfolds next. So what will you do? Will you trust that what you feel is real? Will you act like the universe has already cleared your path? Will you move like heaven is backing you up? Because it is. You'll notice things start to shift, not just externally, but internally. You'll feel lighter, clearer, more focused. Your spirit will start rejecting what no longer resonates. Your heart will start desiring things that actually feed your soul. And you'll begin to move with a different kind of energy. Not frantic, not fearful, but firm. That's how you'll know. God's words didn't just reach your ears, they activated your essence. Because when God speaks, transformation isn't optional. It's inevitable. And you, chosen one, are not going back to confusion. You are not going back to hiding. You are not going back to delay. You are not going back to old patterns, toxic mindsets, or trauma loops. This is your release season. This is your breakthrough breath. This is your alignment hour. So inhale the truth, exhale the fear, and take one powerful step forward. Even if it's small, it counts. Even if it's shaky, it's sacred. Even if no one sees it, heaven does. And heaven is clapping. Because you finally understand. Because you finally believe. When you finally hear the truth directly from the source, not through noise, not through outside opinions, but through your own spirit, something irreversible happens. You begin to rise without needing a reason. You begin to glow without seeking a spotlight. You begin to walk without fear, because the direction is no longer guesswork, it's God work. This is the moment where you're no longer chasing clarity. You are the clarity. You no longer ask, "Is this for me?" Because everything in your soul already knows it is. God has been whispering to you for years in dreams, signs, sacred silence. But now the volume is rising, not in decibels, but in depth. You're not just hearing truth, you're feeling it crystallize in your bones. And one of the clearest things God is telling you now is this: stop searching outside yourself for proof of what I already placed within you. Stop looking for the world to affirm what heaven already assigned. Stop waiting for perfect conditions before you take divine action. This is a season where action must come before answers, where obedience must come before understanding, where movement is the language of faith. You may still feel unqualified. You may still feel like you're not ready. But here's the secret. Readiness is not a feeling. It's a decision. And you've been ready for longer than you realize. You weren't waiting on timing. Timing was waiting on you. Waiting on you to trust the download. Waiting on you to stop asking if you're worthy. Waiting on you to stop praying for a breakthrough while simultaneously doubting your power to carry it. You are not weak. You are not behind. You are not broken. You're just waking up, finally, to the truth you were born with. That truth is uncomfortable at first because it threatens everything you were told to believe about yourself. It shakes the lies you inherited from fear-based voices. It dissolves every script you were given by people who never saw your spirit. And that's why this part of the journey can feel lonely. Not because you are alone, but because you've outgrown the places where you were never truly seen. Don't fear the shedding. Don't fear the distance. It's part of divine recalibration. Some relationships won't survive your awakening. Not because you're better, but because your frequency no longer allows for anything less than truth. Some environments will feel heavy, not because they're wrong, but because your spirit now demands alignment over convenience. You're not crazy for needing silence. You're not overreacting for craving peace. You're not dramatic for setting boundaries. These are all signs that your inner compass is finally tuned to the divine frequency. And when you live in that frequency, you begin to feel something holy settle in your nervous system. You stop chasing closure. You stop fearing endings. You stop trying to prove anything to people who never had the capacity to receive you. Because now you realize you were never here to be understood by everyone. You were here to be undeniable in your truth. Chosen one, God is still speaking, still revealing, still pouring revelation over your spirit like rain on a dry land. And the rain is not random. It's refreshing what the fire once burned. It's growing what pain once buried. It's softening what bitterness once hardened. You don't have to force this transformation. You don't have to beg for it, fake it, or prove it. You just have to surrender to it. Let it flow. Let it move through you like a river carving a new path. Strong, sacred, steady. There is no more going back. No more watering yourself down. No more pretending you're not ready. Because readiness is not about having it all figured out. It's about trusting that what you carry is divine. even if it looks unfamiliar to others. It's about knowing that you were not born to fit in. You were born to shake things up, to shift timelines, to awaken generations, to break ancestral patterns, to embody the truth of your lineage's wildest prayers. Yes, you are the answer to someone else's question. You are the shift your family couldn't name. You are the healing that your past self didn't think was possible. And now, you walk with a quiet power, not to impress, but to impact. You move differently. You speak differently. You breathe differently. Because now you understand that clarity isn't something you find, it's something you become. And the world will feel the shift, not because you announced it, but because you embody it. People will ask, "What happened to you?" And the answer will not be a story, it will be a presence. Your peace, your power. That's how God speaks through you now, not through explanation, but through example. You've entered the realm where your life is the message, where your transformation is the testimony, where your alignment is the answer. And that's why you had to go through everything you did, because the deeper the wound, the deeper the wisdom. You are now carrying light in places where others only knew survival. You are now anchoring peace in atmospheres that once knew only chaos. You are now unlocking doors that generations before you never even knew existed. This is sacred. This is divine, and it's only just beginning. Because when God tells you everything, He doesn't do it to entertain you. He does it to entrust you. And now the question becomes, will you honor the truth that's been revealed? Will you build with it? Will you lead with it? Will you protect it? Not by hiding it, but by living it. Because chosen one, this is no longer just about you. This is about the ones watching you silently, hoping you're real. This is about the ones who don't have the words, but feel the shift when you enter. This is about the version of you who waited in the dark, praying for someone to go first, and realizing now it was always going to be you. There is a moment in every chosen one's life when knowing becomes responsibility. Not pressure, but purpose. Not heaviness, but holy grounding. And you've reached that moment. You can feel it. The air around you is different now. Your inner world no longer tolerates noise. Your spirit craves peace the way it used to crave approval. You're done pretending, done waiting, done explaining your glow to those who are committed to misunderstanding it. Because now that you know, you cannot unknow. Now that you've heard, you cannot unhear. Now that God has shown you everything, you cannot act like it was nothing. This moment didn't come to entertain you. It came to elevate you. Elevation doesn't always feel like rising. Sometimes it feels like shedding illusions, shedding habits, shedding identities that were built for survival, not success, not spiritual fulfillment. You've been reborn, but not by accident. You were refined in silence. You were reprogrammed through pain. You were rebuilt, not to be shiny, but to be steady. You are no longer operating on borrowed beliefs. You're walking in your own revelation. You're no longer looking around to see what others are doing. You're listening inward to what you were born to do. Because what God is doing through you now is custom. It's coded. It's personal. Your path won't look like theirs. It was never supposed to. And that's why comparison can no longer be part of your vibration. It distorts your clarity. It slows your momentum. It tricks your mind into believing that you need what someone else has, when in truth, you carry what no one else does. Chosen one, now that God has revealed the truth to you, you have to honor it with your movement. That means protecting your energy like it's sacred, because it is. That means showing up every day like you've already been crowned, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. That means speaking life, even when fear tempts you to play small again. Because playing small is no longer safe. It's suffocating. You can't shrink and rise at the same time. You can't hide and lead at the same time. You can't blend in and break curses at the same time. You have to choose. And the choice is not about doing more. It's about being more of who you really are. The truth has already been given to you. The question is, will you let it lead you? Will you let it decide what you say yes to, what you walk away from, what you create, what you destroy? Because sometimes truth comes not to build, but to burn away illusions, to burn away attachments, to burn away the parts of you that only knew how to be liked, not how to be liberated. God didn't tell you everything just so you could feel seen. He told you everything so you could see clearly, so you could stop cycling, so you could stop settling, so you could stop delaying the birth of the version of you that heaven already recognizes. It's time to stop acting confused when you already know. You know who you are. You know what you carry. You know what no longer belongs. You know what makes your soul feel alive and what makes it shrink. So stop pretending the fog hasn't lifted. It has. You're not lost anymore. You're being led. You're not broken anymore. You're being built. You're not searching anymore. You're seeing. And what you're seeing is holy. You're seeing that some people were only assignments, not anchors. You're seeing that some delays were protection, not punishment. You're seeing that your emotions were never weakness. They were indicators of alignment. You're seeing that the voice inside you wasn't fear. It was God trying to get your attention. And now you're listening. And that's why everything is changing. When you're chosen, you don't move like everyone else. You don't chase trends. You channel truth. You don't force outcomes. You flow in divine timing. You don't compete. You create. You don't beg for tables. You build your own altars. Because this season isn't about what the world can give you. It's about what you're about to release into the world. Your voice, your vision, your vibration. They've all been refined in the fire. And now they're ready. And even if your hands are still trembling, even if your heart is still healing, even if your path still looks uncertain from the outside, heaven is not confused. Heaven knows who you are. Heaven sees what you've carried. Heaven remembers what you've survived. Heaven knows how many nights you almost gave up. Heaven knows how many days you walked through the valley while still believing in the promise. And heaven has decided. It's your time. This isn't hype. This isn't fantasy. This is divine fulfillment rising within you, one brave breath at a time. So now that God has told you everything, now that your soul is awake, now that your knowing is louder than your fear, what will you do with the truth? What will you build with this sacred clarity? What will you walk away from, not in anger, but in power? What will you say yes to, not because it's easy, but because it's exactly what your spirit came here to do? This is the part where you stop watching others live and start walking as if the divine lives within you. And here's the powerful shift. Your life is no longer built on what you fear losing. It's built on what you were always meant to carry. You used to worry about being misunderstood. Now you realize understanding was never the point. Embodiment was. You used to feel guilt for leaving behind what drained you. Now you understand that anything not rooted in truth was never meant to grow with you. You used to beg for signs. Now, you are the sign. Your peace is a signal. Your discipline is a signal. Your silence is a signal. You are proof that you don't need noise to be powerful, that you don't need crowds to be crowned, that you don't need titles to be chosen. You are the frequency people feel but can't explain. You are the shift that others sense but can't predict. You are the reminder that alignment can't be faked. It can only be felt. Chosen one, you've been through the dark so long, your eyes have learned to see in realms most people ignore. That's why you can walk into situations and sense what others can't. That's why you feel truth before it's spoken. That's why you carry discernment like a sword. And now, that discernment is your tool, not your torment. It's no longer something that confuses you. It guides you. It keeps you from re-entering places you've already healed from. It protects you from negotiating with what no longer resonates. It helps you bless people from a distance without letting them reattach to your soul. Because love doesn't always mean closeness. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconnection. Growth doesn't always mean keeping everyone in your story. Some chapters must close completely for the divine volume to rise. And that's what God is telling you now. Stop reopening doors that I've already locked for your protection. Stop giving access to energies that distort your direction. Stop treating your spirit like it's common when it's been anointed. You are not obligated to prove your light to those committed to seeing you in darkness. You don't have to carry everyone. You don't have to fix what wasn't your fracture. You don't have to bleed to make others comfortable. You were not born to rescue everyone. You were born to remember yourself. And in doing so, in fully embodying your truth, your path, your essence, others will be reminded of their own. That's how real power works. Quiet, unshakable, reflective. It doesn't control, it doesn't compete, it doesn't convince, it simply is. And you are walking power. You are living revelation. You are divine memory in motion. You've survived what should have killed your joy. You've risen from places that broke others. You've rebuilt from ruins that no one even knew you walked through. And now, you're not just healing, you're activating. You're not just rebuilding, you're recalibrating the atmosphere around you. You've shifted from seeking to shining. You've shifted from waiting to walking. You've shifted from hoping to embodying. This is no longer a story of becoming. It's a declaration. I already am. I am what God said I am. I am what the storm couldn't shake. I am what the silence couldn't silence. I am what pain couldn't poison. And now that I know it, now that I own it, nothing can unroot me. Not doubt, not delay, not disappointment. Because when God tells you everything, He's not handing you a script. He's giving you permission to stop performing, to stop striving, to stop hustling for the validation you already carry within your divine assignment. And when you stop performing, you start attracting, not because of effort, but because of essence. Your spirit becomes magnetic, your presence becomes undeniable, and the right doors, the ones you thought you had to break down, begin to open without force, because now the alignment is pure. And when the alignment is pure, the timing becomes sacred. You don't need to rush. You don't need to prove. You don't need to beg. You just need to remain anchored in the truth God placed in your hands, even when it gets quiet, even when the crowd gets small, even when the road gets narrow, because the path of a chosen one was never meant to be crowded. It was meant to be clear, clear enough for God to walk beside you, clear enough for the voice inside you to stay louder than than the distractions around you. Clear enough to carry the weight of this revelation, not with pressure, but with peace. And you will carry it. Not because it's easy, not because you have all the answers, but because now you know who you are. Now, you believe in what's been spoken to your spirit. Now, you understand that what you carry is not light. It's lighthouse, a beam that pierces the fog, a signal to others who are still finding their way. And as you walk in this truth, something profound happens. You no longer crave recognition. You crave reverence, not for yourself, but for the message, for the journey, for the divine guidance that brought you here. And that reverence becomes your rhythm. That rhythm becomes your flow. And that flow, it becomes your freedom. The final piece is not about hearing more. It's about trusting what you've already heard. You don't need another sign. You don't need more confirmations. You don't need to wait until everyone around you agrees. Because chosen one, this isn't about them. This is about you standing in what's already been revealed, the sacred truth that's already been deposited in your soul. The words God already carved into the blueprint of your being before you ever took your first breath. The truth is not just knowledge, it's now responsibility. Not in the form of pressure or perfection, but in presence. You are not called to be flawless. You are called to be faithful. Faithful to what you know deep down. Faithful to the quiet voice that speaks even when the world is screaming. Faithful to your alignment, even when it costs you comfort, applause, or familiarity. Because if this journey has taught you anything, it's this: the most divine moments are the ones no one else sees. The ones where you chose your integrity over your image. The ones where you walked away from what looked good to protect what felt right. The ones where you sat in silence instead of reacting in fear. The ones where you said yes, not because it was easy, but because your soul said it's time. And now, it really is time. You've walked through the fire. You've held your breath through storms. You've prayed with cracked lips and trembling hands, and yet, here you are, still standing, still chosen, still anointed, still becoming. This is no longer a story about searching. This is a story about embodiment. Living like the person you once wished you could become. Becoming the kind of presence that feels like peace, that speaks like purpose, that moves like prophecy. You don't need to rehearse anymore. This is not a test. This is the moment. The moment where everything aligns, not perfectly, but divinely. The moment where the past makes sense, not through logic, but through peace. The moment where the future doesn't feel like pressure, but like promise. And the only thing left now is to walk, not sprint, not stumble, just walk, in rhythm with what you know, in harmony with the new frequency you now live in. Because you are not the same. The moment God told you everything, something eternal clicked inside you. Your spirit stopped doubting. Your energy stopped leaking. Your vision stopped second-guessing itself. And now, you are walking clarity, walking confirmation, walking courage. And you'll notice the world around you begin to respond. Things that once confused you will become crystal clear. People who once triggered you will no longer hold power. Places that once drained you will fall away with no drama, only detachment. Why? Because your vibration has changed. You are no longer choosing from fear. You are choosing from faith. You are no longer attached to outcomes. You are aligned with truth. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You are the chosen one. And now, you live like it. There is nothing left to chase, only space to create. There is nothing left to fix, only wholeness to embody. There is nothing left to hide, only light to radiate. And when you walk into rooms now, it's not your clothes, your title, or your words that speak first. It's your frequency, your divine frequency, the one God activated when He told you everything. And it doesn't whisper anymore. It echoes. It moves like water, like thunder, like memory, reminding every cell in your body that you were never lost. You were just being refined. So now, walk boldly, walk beautifully, walk quietly if you must, but walk. The divine knows your name. Your soul knows the way. And now that everything's been revealed, there's nothing left to fear, only truth to follow, only power to own, only destiny to embody. So go now. Move like someone who finally believes it. Speak like someone who knows. And love like someone who has heard the divine say, without hesitation, you are ready. And you are. This is the moment God tells you everything. And now, the rest is yours to live.